Just like you're in motion, just like the plane is in motion, just like everything in that closed system that is the plane is in motion.
But do you understand that
Now,
the liquid inside the cup would just be sitting there still?
right? The same way the rock that's moving, or the bunch of rocks on a train, they're sitting there still. They're being transported, the coal, right?
But
But
what
they're
I'm trying to
definitely
get you to,
moving. They're
bro,
definitely
Elisha, hey,
moving.
hold on one
I
second,
You
one
know,
second.
posted
you
a.
know that
I'm
it's
trying to,
going from one. You know that it's going from
hold
one
on,
station to the next.
watch it.
But the
Just hold on
actual,
one second.
the actual rock itself in that transport is relatively still to the train.
Well, just check me out for a second. So we done sat the
But
cup in
it's
the cup holder on the
moving.
plane. Just listen for a second. We done sat the cup in the cup holder on the plane. Okay, we wouldn't be able to tell just by looking at the cup whether or not it's moving. We know it's moving because we are on an airplane. So we just have a understanding of it moving because we know that we got into an airplane and now it's moving. But we wouldn't be able to prove that visually because we're looking at the fucking cup and it
Why?
looks the same stationary or
Why are
in
you?
motion.
Why are you trying to prove it visually?
Because that's what you're doing with the earth, dude. You're going outside and you're like, oh, this
No,
tree is moving, the
no,
ground, everything
no,
around me is
no.
not moving, right? And you're saying, so that means that the earth now is the absolute frame of motion and everything else around me appears to be moving. So the earth must be not moving because I say so.
Without
That's what you're saying.
objectivity, you cannot function. You cannot
Hey,
have
I
a
don't
sound
want to jump
understanding.
in, Carlito. You're doing awesome, but go. I posted a video at 9:14. I'd love Elisha to tell me if the bike rider in this video is moving.
Why? What does that have
I'm
to do with
curious.
what
Your
I'm
take.
talking
Just
about?
go watch it and let me know.
Bike
I'm not
riders
gonna
are
watch it now.
CGI.
I'm not gonna watch it now. I can't be bothered.
It's short, dude. It's
Because
super
this
short.
is the issue, Carlita. This is the issue, right? You basically have to invoke that there is no objectivity. So, funnily enough, I'm pretty sure you would agree that there is objective morality, right? I'm
No,
not gonna
no, bro.
make
We're
that.
not going to do that. No, we're going to go into a
I'm
rabbit
not
hole.
gonna make. No, I'm
Let's
not
try
gonna
to get
make that the topic. Look,
I'm just trying to
listen. I'm not.
listen. Hold on. I don't want to talk about morality. Look, just listen for 1
No,
second. I'm
it's
listening.
not about. It's not about morality, but or just anything, right? Would you acknowledge that in certain things there's objectivity, right?
Right.
So
I
how
think.
you interpret it is separate from the objective reality of it. Yes?
Okay.
Right. So if you agree to that fundamental, you shouldn't have an issue with the absolute frame. That's called objectivity because in this frame in this discussion of motion. But in order, because this is the only way you can even determine it. This is the bit that I don't understand why you're missing. You know the plane is moving. Why? Because objectively it's moving outside of your perceived experience of that. Say if you're in the plane or on the plane or underneath the plane or in another plane flying beside that plane. All of that is irrelevant to the objective fact that the plane is in motion. So objectively is the thing that you should agree to. So the only real thing that you need to now quibble on is where is the point of objectivity with regards to motion in totality. I would argue that that's the Earth proper. But if you're going to say that it's not the Earth and acknowledge the necessity for objectivity, you then have to proffer another location because that's the only way you can even begin to talk about motion. You have to have an objective
No,
location
usually
It's
when you're
relative. You should
which
watch the video, Elisha. You should
from
watch the
which
video I posted.
you have to have an objective location from which to determine motion. Otherwise, you don't have motion. You have something else. You have like
So
make
watch the
usually
believe.
video I
when you're
posted and let me know.
yeah, watch that
The
video
video
because
has
I
no
looked at it. You know what I'm saying?
the video has
It's a
no
good video.
relation to what I'm talking about. It
It
doesn't
does.
alter
It
my
has
All
it
everything to do
doesn't
with what you're talking about.
everything.
alter
Exactly.
my point because what is it? It is subjective. I'm talking about the objective.
Yeah. So watch the video and then tell me objectively whether the guy on the bike is moving.
How can I determine that from a video if I don't have all the information? That's why
Just
I
watch the
used the
video.
plane.
It's not that complicated of a video.
That's why I accepted the plane example from Carlito because in the plane example we have absolute knowledge on the situation, right? A man built the
Do
plane.
you want me to
put it
describe
in
the video?
air,
I can describe the
fly
video
it.
to you if
No,
you want. Video to you if you want.
You don't need to. I'm telling you. That it's not relevant.
Carlito, do you think it's relevant?
Unless I made the video, right? Unless I made the video and have the capacity to know all the objective facts within it, it's got nothing to do with what we're talking about. We're talking
Just
about
watch
first
it. It's not like a
principles
trick
of
video.
motion.
It's not. I mean, it is a trick video in a sense, but
Yeah, it would probably be an optical illusion that could lead one.
it's not
to
an optical illusion. Just watch it, dude. Why are you so afraid to just watch it?
How does it relate? How does it relate to
Watch
determine how well my eyes can interpret the thing with the limited information?
It's embedded too. You can just press play.
That's not how I came to the conclusion that the plane.
You're so afraid to watch the video.
No, I don't care about the video.
How about I'll describe it to you. Let me just.
I'm having
you accepted the plane on a description. Can I just describe this to you?
Yeah, because we can control the situation and have a clear understanding of what's going on. So when I say that
a train is traveling,
and then there's
train is traveling 15 miles
next to it, right?
Okay,
that
a train is traveling.
Dude, what are you doing?
Let me describe it. A train is traveling 15 miles an hour.
Except that I don't care and that it doesn't relate to the discussion. And except that nobody here has actually even acknowledged the point that's being made. This is called obfuscation.
No, you're just avoiding. You're avoiding something that challenges your claim, and you're running away from it.
How does a video challenge the point I made about objectivity?
Because it challenges relative motion. If you'd go watch it, then you could stop running away from it.
Which has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
You haven't even watched it. How do you know it has nothing to do with it? If you haven't watched it, how do you know it has nothing to do with what you're saying?
The necessity for objectivity. Acknowledge that, or if you're not going to acknowledge that, give me a reason as to why you think it's not needed to be acknowledged.
This is the next thing we're talking about. The video is literally what we're talking about. You should watch it, bro.
Yes, thank you, Carlito. I'll mute up.
What's the point of that video, though? They're both moving. Both are moving. The bike rider and the train. Like, what are you trying to establish with that? You're saying what the
No, I agree. They're both moving.
Okay. Yeah, but what point are you trying to make with that?
But to the person standing in front and watching, is the bike moving?
Yes, absolutely. You can see it going backwards,
straight in front of them.
and then you can see it going forward.
Yeah, but it stays straight in front of him, and then the guy rides his bike for 40 seconds, and then the bike lands on the ground straight in front of the guy that's watching it. No more than...
Press
2 or 3 feet to the right or left.
Put your mouse. Yeah, press play. Put your mouse on the head of the front wheel, and see when he lands. Is that wheel, did it drift backwards every time he went up? The answer is yes. Well, not every time. Sometimes he went a little bit more forward because based on his trajectory and his speed. But that doesn't reinforce any point you guys are making. It's like both objects are moving. There's no relative motion there. It's not like somebody jumped. Like, this is a horrible example.
It's a great example.
I think it's a good example. And then could you measure that in miles per hour?
No, I want you to steal man the point about objectivity because you refused to acknowledge it when I called it.
I did acknowledge it, bro. I'm trying to tell you there's no such thing as an absolute
no. Steel man it. And then
your
after you
argument,
steelman it, then if you can, proffer a rebuttal.
basically
I
what you're
think
saying is on Earth, right? The Earth is the absolute frame of reference. Whether we're riding in an airplane, we're driving in a car, or bird in the sky, we always reference the motion comparatively to Earth, right? And that's what you're saying. But what I'm trying to get you to
Not
understand
quite.
is the only
Not
reason we
quite.
do that is because we are on the Earth. That's
Not
the
quite.
thing
That's
that
not.
we're on, bro. What I'm trying to get you to understand is when we're talking about, I'm gonna bring the sun up because it's pretty much what we're talking about. When you're talking about geocentrism or you're talking about helium,
Mm,
isn't a good
mention.
measuring stick because if you're standing on the Earth, the sun looks
you're
like it's
going out,
moving. If
Carlita.
you stand on the,
You went
oh sorry,
you went out for a sec. All right, go ahead.
That wasn't exactly my point. You missed a key detail, right?
okay, well, what was the
Because
point?
I've obviously concluded, and that's been my position. But I'm telling you why I make that my position, and for you to then push against it, what I would expect from you. So for clarity's sake, it's not that the Earth, that I'm starting with the baseline that the Earth is the objective, like, fixed point, though that is my position. I'm telling you from a fundamental perspective, before you even bring up the Earth, you have a necessity to have a fixed point, an objective point from which to have motion. Otherwise, motion has no significance. So the plane is moving, though it may be moving also in relation to other moving things. That is outside of the fundamental. Its motion is in relation to the objective, right? Objective reality, the objective fixed point. Otherwise it has no meaning. And then I'm telling you that given that everything that we see, it stands to reason that the objective fixed point is the Earth. And then if anyone's going to say otherwise, they have to go through a whole lot of effort to try and justify another location. But the problem that I think you have is you acknowledge it in part only, that there is some objective location or the need for objectivity or whatever, but you don't go to the point of making it clear that that's the thing, and then acknowledging that, yes, Savvy, you're right, that my argument is just that the objective location is anywhere but the Earth, and you just slightly mention that with the sun, but that doesn't work for other reasons.
No,
We
like
can
in
go
the
there.
video I posted,
Bird
the
word.
bike is moving relative to the train. It's also moving relative to the Earth, but I think you would, when you say it's moving, which everybody agrees it is, it's moving relative to the train, not to the Earth.
Exactly. And what you're
What?
doing, I'm asking
That's
you
No,
just
how.
wrong. That's
I'm just
just
that's
asking.
100% wrong.
that's a
When you watch the
strange
video, you
statement.
can see the bike go forward and backward.
Okay, it moves a little bit. It moves a little
Yeah,
bit
just the
relative to Earth.
friction and the
How much?
contact
How
with the
much? Like
train
estimate how
alone
much you
is
think it
gonna
moves. Rigor. Estimate how much you think it moves relative to the
estimate
Earth.
how hard he's pedaling, how fast he's pedaling. You want me to
No,
put that
how?
into
No,
miles
how
per
has?
hour? The
No, just
fuck are you on
estimate.
about? What kind of
I'm asking you.
sprocket does he have?
Compared to the
Like,
Earth,
what's his
how much does
cranking?
he move forwards and backwards?
It depends how
Just
hard he's
estimate, rough
pedaling.
estimate.
Enough.
I don't understand where you're trying to go with this. You're like, he's not moving relative, yeah, to the background. Well, yeah, he is.
To the Earth. Like he rides off of the back of a train and lands straight on the ground without moving forwards or backwards.
All right, you realize if you took a ball, right, and you put it on a train, right, and you just let that ball, and you have like a ramp, you let the ball roll down that ramp. You know that ball's not just going to magically float in the air, right? You know it's going to keep contact with the ramp and it's going to travel with the ramp. You get that part?
Yeah.
All right, well, he's going to have to increase his speed to get away from that.
Yeah, I agree.
Otherwise, he's just going to move with the train.
Right, which would be moving relative to Earth. If he was staying still on the train, he would be moving relative to Earth. But by moving the equal speed backwards,
No, he's
he's
still moving
canceled
on the
out the
train.
movement of the train, right?
No,
This
he's
isn't like a
still
hard
moving.
concept.
He's
I don't.
still
It's not
rolling
even.
downhill. right? If you put a ramp on a train, you roll a ball down it, the ball's still going downhill and it's going forward or backwards, depending on which way the train's going, but it's still moving with the train at the same time.
Yeah, but I mean, if
You're
the ball's
acting like one
rolling
is
at a slower,
stationary.
hold on, if a ball's rolling at a slower speed than the train's moving, is the ball rolling forwards or backwards?
It's moving away from the starting point.
I mean, according to Elisha, it's moving backwards because the Earth is the absolute frame.
So hold
So
on,
ball rolling
hold on.
forward is really going backwards. That's what his claim is.
Its description and its direction is irrelevant. If it is moving in relation to the fixed point, it's moving. It's in motion. How you describe that motion is after the fact, secondary.
Okay, so imagine a ball moving on a train backward, like it's going towards the back of the train at exactly the equal speed as the train.
I'm going to steal Jeremy's argument. Ready?
Oh, my God.
Hold on, dude. I'm in the middle of asking a
Jeremy's
question.
argument.
I'm in the middle of asking a question. You can do this after.
You're
So
allergic
the ball
to
is moving.
objectivity.
Hold on. So the
You're
ball's
confused.
moving at exactly the same backward speed as the train, and since the objective motion point is the Earth, is that ball moving?
I've already why do you have to keep giving different examples to the basic question?
I'm just testing. I'm actually adopting your worldview. I'm adopting your worldview and then testing it.
If the thing is in delta with relation to the Earth, then it's in motion. That's how you even understand what motion is.
Okay, so a ball rolling at the equal backward speed as the train is not in motion according to your worldview. And I would agree with that. If it's relative to the Earth, it's not moving.
Dude, I made my statement very clear. If the thing is in delta with respect to the Earth, right? The Earth being, in this case, according to me, because apparently no one else seems to acknowledge this, the objective fixed point, then that thing is in motion. End of story.
Yeah, you already
And
put
if
it in
it's
motion.
not, then
And
it's
you're
not
like,
in
why
motion,
is it
right?
in motion? Is it in motion? It's like, well,
I
you've
gave
already
you a
said it's in motion.
conditional. I gave you a conditional. If the conditional is met, cool. If it's not met, who cares?
Okay, then so then the answer to my question is yes. The ball rolling at the same backward speed as the train is actually not moving. Yeah,
No,
that's the
you're
answer
not
to your
listening.
question.
You literally
No,
didn't
I
listen.
am listening. Is
No,
like
No,
listen
Carlito? Is that
carefully.
what you
Listen
heard?
He's
carefully.
saying it's moving with the train. That's what he's
It's
saying. He's saying you put it on the train, it's now part
meeting
of the train. The train is obviously moving, therefore the ball's moving.
That's not what he
Yes,
said.
I
What he
mean, even
said.
that
Let me
is
try to
what I
steel
If you
said.
man.
say that's
He
the
actually
absolute frame is the
understood.
Earth, you would have to come to that conclusion.
Yes. See, even Pure Rigor agrees with me.
No,
No,
I'm
he
not
doesn't.
agreeing with you.
He
I'm
actually
saying
paid enough
if you
attention.
said the Earth is the absolute frame, anything you put on that train, if the train's moving, that object is moving.
This is just basic logic.
But this is Jeremy's argument. He uses it. Jeremy, if you're here, get in and do the plane or the drone over the car. That's a
Bro,
good one.
what?
You know how you the Coriolis with the plane?
Drone
Like
over the car?
yeah, you take a car, you put it on a perfectly straight road, right? From like Texas to Michigan, right? You just draw a straight line and you set this car in
Why
motion
would you
to drive.
use those two places though?
All right, you do it.
You just woke him up and confused him.
Yeah, I need bro, I need coffee. You're using stupid locations. You said fucking Ohio and Tennessee, like what?
No, Michigan and Texas.
Jeremy,
Dude.
it's like
It's
noon,
same
dude.
thing, bro. Same
All right,
thing.
It's 12:30.
Florida to the worst parts of New York.
Just say
Which is
A to
Do
B,
basically
man.
Miami
all
to
of it.
New York, bro, or something. Something, dude.
Jeremy, I have a
Ohio.
video. I
From,
have a video for
from
you.
point
It's
A
at
to point B.
Jeremy. It's at 4:21. I posted a video. The question I asked is the bike moving? What's its absolute speed estimated?
I don't know. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Pure
You'd have to measure.
Riga is talking about. You got a straight road, right? It doesn't turn left or right from New York to Miami. And then you have a car drives on the road, right? Well, what is this, Pure?
Jeremy,
Bro,
you
how'd
gotta
you get
get
your
your
own
coffee,
argument?
dude.
my
Is
goodness!
this about
I
the
got this.
drone
I
has to
learned
turn
it
left?
from watching you.
Is this about the drone
Rigger,
having
you
to turn?
tapped in a Jeremy that's
Yes.
at like 10% capacity.
Dude,
Oh,
I'm
so
kicking
if you
Jeremy
want to
off
fly
the
a
top
drone
5
over
list
that
if he
road,
doesn't get this argument.
if you want to fly a drone over that road, the drone has
No,
to turn left or right, depending on
yeah,
which direction you're traveling.
you can't come to the conclusion for the. All right, so look, here's the scenario: Miami to New York, right? That shitty area where Jeremy lives in. That's where we're going, right? Now you have a perfectly straight road, right? And you have a car on it. It's going to drive perfectly straight. Now you have a drone, right, hovering right above it the entire way through. Does that drone turn? If the road is perfectly straight, the car drives perfectly straight, does the drone turn?
No end. No end.
No, it doesn't.
Then
I mean,
Coriolis
is this
isn't
like a
real.
question about the
Coriolis
like the
is fake, you mean?
east-west question on a curved surface? Or are you just saying? Are we assuming a flat Earth right now?
You just debunked Coriolis.
Oh, we're not even talking about Coriolis, dude. If
What
it's a
do you
flat
mean?
Earth, then
How can,
yes.
wait,
You
hold
say
on.
we're
How can
spinning.
you?
We're talking about
How can you?
spinning.
Yeah, it's all related to your fundamental assumption of Earth moving and Earth globe and Earth no have a container for atmosphere.
Oh,
No,
bro, here's the
this
thing.
is just
like,
about motion. It's about absolute
Sun's not a
motion. That's all we're talking
projectile.
about.
here's the thing. First of all, the car in the tree scenario, you might want to rethink that, bro. There's a tree in the Amazon that actually moves, but
Yeah, there we go.
it's still not relevant though because that shit's like goes at 1 inch a year or something.
You've been watching Lord of the Rings?
There's a tree in the Amazon that moves. But here's the thing though. The trees fucking doesn't move, dude. Trees don't move. A maple tree, an oak tree, and shits don't move. If a
You
car
know
hits
why?
it, the car. I know why.
Because the Earth doesn't move, and the Earth is the fixed point.
No, even
That
if the
seems to
Earth
hurt.
is moving, it doesn't matter. You could be on an moving aircraft carrier, anything. It doesn't matter. If you have the tree in the car moves into the tree all day.
That's very muddy conversation now.
Why is it muddy?
Jeremy, I watched that video I posted. It's not like a gotcha. I'm curious your take. I just reposted it and tagged
Is
you.
the convo muddy though?
It's fine. I'm fine with the tree car. I think the tree, relative to Earth, the tree stays still. Car moves into it. I'm fine with saying the car is moving. Because I think using Earth as a reference frame in most things is useful, but it's not. I think like the video I posted is a good example of where
It's how we get through life.
It's the absolute.
What
Without
video do you
it,
want me to
nothing
watch?
has any meaning.
I just reposted it in chat. It's at 9:35. You'll like it.
But that's the problem. We're talking about.
That's very cool.
We're
Are
talking
you a
about
relative?
the Earth, whether or not it's in motion, and they keep using the Earth as the reference frame for things being in motion.
Yo,
I've
you're
seen that
claiming,
one. What
right?
about it? The Red Bull guy. That was fucking dangerous, dude. If he fucked up, he could have died right there.
That's why he drinks Red Bull so he can get wings. But Carlito, you're claiming that the Earth is absolutely in motion, right?
There's no such thing as absolute motion. Look, this is where me and you are falling off at, and I think this is the part that you don't get. We're talking about whether or not the Earth
No,
is moving,
okay. If that's
and you
if your
keep
claim is
using
just
Earth.
relative, then all you have to do is go for a walk, and then
Bro, dude, he's in the
therefore the
middle of
Earth
his
is
statement and
moving.
you just
I know
interrupted.
that was bad,
Like,
Elijah.
I
Come
wow.
on.
know, I know, but this is how ridiculous, right? Just
I know,
walk.
but let
Just let
me
him
keep
finish.
going and
Just let
interrupt him.
Carl finish.
Yeah, but he's not complaining about it. Everyone else is.
It's cool. I've realized that I don't think you're going to understand where I'm coming from. But we're talking about whether or not the Earth itself is in motion, and you keep trying to use that as the absolute frame of motion. You're not understanding that when I say something is in motion. When I say something is in motion, I'm talking about in relationship to something else, and that's what the thing I've been trying to get you to get the whole time.
Yeah,
You keep
I'm
trying to
trying to
put
get
the Earth in
you
motion.
to acknowledge that that's retarded because it's not
That's retarded.
motion. Relative
Listen, bro.
motion is not motion. It's the
You keep
second order. It's a perception.
Okay.
The moment you invoke, you have to pick a different word. The moment you invoke motion, the moment
About
you
to bow
invoke
out, bro.
motion,
We look up at the
you have
sky, Elijah, and we see the stars moving. And you're saying, well, the earth isn't moving. All I'm trying to get you to understand is if you stood on a star and you look back at the earth, then the earth will look like it's moving. You keep saying the earth isn't moving because the earth isn't moving. That's what you keep saying, bro. And I'm
no,
asking,
no. That's
how
not
do
what I
you know
said.
the earth is not
That's
moving?
not
You
you.
said
You're
That
not
is
paying
what you
enough
said.
attention. No, I told
That's
you that
objective
you have
motion.
I told you that you have a necessity for an objective fixed point. If you want to argue that that isn't the Earth, okay, but show me where the fixed point is. Because without the fixed point, you don't have motion. So, in order to determine that you have motion of the Earth, it has to be in relation to a fixed point. But what you do is you ignore the necessity for a fixed point and cling to the relative relationships of motion within different systems. But those systems have no meaning without the absolute. Your your
there is
your
no
allergy
That's
your
absolute.
total
allergy
nonsense.
There is
your
no
allergy
absolute.
your
It's no
your
absolute.
allergy to the
If
absolute
I
is the problem.
Listen, bro. If I ask a scientist, I say, "Hey, is the Earth moving?" The first question they're going to ask me back is, "In relation to what?" Okay, and that's what you're not doing, bro. You keep saying that the Earth is moving, and I'm asking you, "How do you know it's moving?" And you're saying in relation to itself.
No,
So
you
you don't
told me
know
it's
if the Earth's
moving.
moving or not.
You told me it's
In
moving. I
relation
Correct.
to
didn't.
Yeah.
what? Is it moving in relation to you? No. Is it moving in relation to the sun? Yes. Is it moving in relation to another planet? Yes.
There's no way in all
Okay,
of our
but if it's
technology, we
actually
have
moving
not
or still.
created, in all our technology, we've never created a way to measure absolute motion.
Okay, but if we were absolutely
What?
still, hold on, man. If we were absolutely still, you wouldn't know, right?
Correct.
Okay. So why are you fighting against Elijah? He's saying we're still. You guys can't even argue against him.
I wasn't fighting with him. I was asking him, how does he know? And he kept
Told
saying,
you.
because Earth is the absolute reference frame, or whatever the fuck. It's the absolute thing.
You only listen with your left ear. You're not listening with both.
So you
Bro,
have
I
no
heard you say
idea
it about
what's
17 times, bro.
so you have no idea what's moving ever.
Absolutely correct.
I'm absolutely
So you
correct.
don't. So in
No.
your
Without
worldview, there isn't
absolute
in your
motion, we
worldview.
can't tell. Relative motion is pretty easy. Relative motion, the car runs into the tree.
So
Yeah, but
the
that's what I'm
second
saying. When it comes to Earth, though, you can never know or when we drop something. If I were to drop a baseball right now, you couldn't tell me what if the baseball moved or not.
isn't that
No, I could,
solipsism?
relative to the Earth, I definitely could.
Yeah, relative to the Earth, I know, but you couldn't tell me if the baseball was the thing that moved down or the ground was the thing that moved up.
No, I could tell you relative to the Earth, the ball moves towards the Earth.
I know, but just in an absolute sense, you have no idea if the ball fell down or the ground moved up.
Relative to the
Correct.
ball, the Earth
Because
moved up.
the whole system might be moving upwards at the exact rate that the ball's being dropped.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know if the ball even moves when you dropped it relative to the ground because it might be the ground moving up.
Correct. We can't measure absolute motion. There's no way to do that.
If the ball is the reference frame, the Earth is moving up.
How about
Mhm.
rotation? You guys don't know if we're rotating or everything's just moving around us?
Well, that one we have like pendulums and things that show that.
Right.
So we can't know. That.
Rotation's
Are you
different.
saying-
You can't tell. There's always like a little force associated with rotational movement.
So you can absolutely tell we're rotating.
Correct. Yeah.
100%. So you falsified stationary
Or
Earth.
not 100, not 100%.
So not
The ring
100. So
laser
you don't. So you
gyroscope shows
still
that.
don't. So you still don't know if we're moving or not, even with the rotation.
We know beyond a reasonable doubt.
We're not in a court of law, bud.
Yeah.
I'm
There's
just telling
evidence.
you.
There's a lot of empirical evidence to make that inductive
So
conclusion.
we may be
Overwhelming
rotating.
evidence.
So we may be rotating. You're not really sure though.
No, we're definitely rotating. The ring laser gyro shows that with the Sagnac effect.
We're 100%
No, it
rotating.
doesn't.
Yes. Yeah. We're definitely rotating.
100%.
I wouldn't say 100%, but I would say
Yeah.
99.99999.
I mean, like it's an inductive claim.
Are we 100% rotating or not?
Are you a man?
9.9.
Carlito,
Are
are
we
you
even
definitely
alive?
100% a man?
No,
Yeah, I'm
hold on.
100%.
Don't go there. Are we 100% rotating or
It's
not?
the
Are you guys
same
on
argument,
Discord?
Jeremy.
99.9.
So
Brandon
we
of
could
that.
be so we could be stationary.
He could be a
In
chick.
order for us to not be rotating, bro, there would have to be something going on that we have not discovered yet to happen. It have to be some mystery mechanism that will cause the ring laser to do what it does.
So, but you don't know though. There could be something like that going on, and you don't know if we're rotating. Okay.
Yeah, but
I mean,
like, let's not
Imagine,
do the
imagine
epistemology thing.
imagine appealing to a laser to make a fundamental claim about what you're
Well,
standing.
it's more than
Imagine
just
not
the laser.
accepting that.
It's more than the
appealing to
laser. It
nothing.
aligns with everything else we see: the southern rotation of the stars, seasons, all
Only if
that.
you make the assumptions that you've chosen to make. If you just take,
Yeah, that's
if you take the
inductive
actual,
reasoning. That's the inductive
if you
reasoning. That's how
take,
science works.
if you take how it
Imagine getting a
actually,
ticket for a radar detector shooting your speed on the highway. What a concept.
if you actually interpret the situation and how it was done properly, you actually have another option that's far more logical in that there is motion that's being detected, and that motion is not of the Earth, but of something else.
So
Yeah,
you're
what's that
saying
something like?
if you did get hit with the radar gun at the cop on the highway and he comes up and pulls you over, you could just say you have no idea that I was even moving, let alone speeding. It could have been you going backwards from me, and this ticket's about to get thrown out of court.
Yeah, he'd say, all right, see you in court. Have a nice day. Don't speed.
All right.
And then when you
And you
get to
gotta bring
court, and I bring a physicist, and the guy says, "Yo, you cannot prove what my client was moving." My
That would be
physicist is the
hilarious.
lawyer.
That would be awesome.
I got a lawyer physicist.
You get laughed out of the room.
A
Your argument
professional.
is that
It's.
the
I
Earth
think,
was
Jeremy. I
speeding,
think
right?
that would go about as well as a sovereign citizen claims in court.
because as soon as the prosecutor get up there, your fucking physicist is you're gonna get clapped because now he's gonna ask for the evidence of it working and the evidence of it not working, and then you're gonna get fucked.
What working? You can't tell what's moving. He has
The
no idea
radar
my
gun,
car was moving.
the methodology of the radar gun. Then
But
he's
your
gonna ask,
method, you just told me there was no methodology to prove absolute motion, and now this guy's about to write me a ticket for speeding.
yeah, because he's not proving absolute motion. He's relative to the Earth you're speeding.
As
Yeah,
if you
there's
have
kind
to
of
prove
implied. There's an
absolute
implied
motion.
thing there relative to
You
the
don't
Earth.
have to. You don't have to prove absolute motion. Motion in and of itself has to be interpreted from an absolute
Nonsense.
frame. Otherwise, it
Nonsense.
has no meaning.
No, it just has
It
to be
has
interpreted
no meaning.
relative. Relative is what gives it meaning, not
No,
absolute.
the relative is the relationship of objects or systems in motion. But you have to have motion first before you get to the relative relationships of motions in
No,
plural.
you don't. You just it's. I don't. You
Yes,
don't.
you do.
No, you
It's
don't.
it's a linguistic necessity and it's a physical necessity. If you can't acknowledge that, this is why you sound like such retards.
What does it mean to have, what does it mean to be fixed in the sense that you're using it?
Is that a serious question?
Yes, that's why I asked it.
Fixed is fixed.
That is a tautology. What does it mean?
Elaborate your question, because what else am I going to say other than fixed is fixed?
And now you understand our confusion because you can't explain it, right?
No, you have to elaborate as to what you're actually asking me to do, because
Okay, my
fixed
question is
fixed.
this. What does it mean
If you
to be
don't know
fixed?
what do you mean? What does it mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? What does it mean? Like, we can do this all day. I'm just asking,
Do you
what
need a
does it mean to
synonym
be
of
fixed?
fixed? Is fixed the word that you're struggling with? Like, would motionless work? ICSpin.
Well, yeah, absolute motionless. What does it mean to be absolute motionless?
You've just defined it. Like, what do you want?
So you can't explain it, right?
Arguably, it doesn't mean
know,
anything.
You know what it means.
No,
No, that's why I asked you.
we don't.
Wait, what? Do you just not care about words? You use them
I'm just
haphazardly?
asking you to define what you're talking about. Like, what does it mean to have either A, absolute motion, I guess, or be fixed in space, so to speak.
Well, in the way that you framed the first one, just the complete absence of motion.
Yeah, but when you're defining a concept, you don't use the concept to define the concept. That's circular.
But it's not a concept. I'm not defining a concept.
Okay, then define whatever it is that
You said
you want to
what
call
does
it.
it mean? If you ask what does it mean, you're not asking for a definition.
Okay, if
In
I
the
say
same
what does
way.
it mean to hear music, you'd say, well, you just hear music. Like you're not telling me anything.
No, you would then define music and then define hearing and then put it into a sentence.
Precisely. Now go ahead. Thank you.
Guys, what's the
So,
topic right now?
so
What is
fixed
even the
is
topic?
I'm just asking him to explain what he means by absolute motionlessness.
no, but that's the definition of fixed, or that's a definition of fixed. You started with fixed, and then you gave the definition, and then you're asking me for the meaning. What? It
But
makes no sense.
but like with all due respect, like you can understand why that is not telling anyone here anything, right? You're just saying, oh, it says fixed,
Well, because
C, absolute
because it's
motionlessness.
so flipping basic that the moment you invoke motion,
So it's like a
that which is
first order.
moving, it has to be in relation to an objective. That which is objective, outside of the perception, right?
Is it fair to?
Objectively, the
Yeah.
water is frozen. Now, how one
Well,
perceives that on Earth, to me, it's warm because you're a flipping weirdo. That's that.
well, is it?
Whatever example you want to give, the subjectivity of relative motion is acceptable because it's a situation that you find yourself in. But without the objective motion, the subjectivity of motion or relationships of motions has no significance. So all I'm telling you lot, the basics is that you have to acknowledge the need for the objectivity.
That
And if
doesn't
you
mean
want
anything. You're just saying words.
if you want to argue with relation to motion and the earth, that the earth is not that location for objective fixed point from which all motion
I
is
can't even make my
determined,
argument. You keep
then
talking without saying anything.
then
Just explain what
then you have
absolute fixed absolute motionlessness is. That's all I'm asking. I'm not making an argument.
to what
Is it
end?
fair to say? Is it?
Here,
Well,
I
is
can
it fair
try
to
one.
say that
I'll answer your.
Okay.
I'll answer your question. So if I have a cup of water
Oh my!
and the water sits still, it's not like sloshing around. That means that I'm not moving. And that's true if I'm
There's
on an
a
airplane. If I'm on
In
an
relation to
airplane, if I'm on the ground. I
But
don't
if you're
actually
on
believe
the
that, but I'll
mean,
just
how are
airplane,
make
you guys
let's
okay,
put that
unsure?
out for a case.
so if there's an absolute still glass of water that the lady just gave you, the flight attendant, on the plane, is it fair to say that that cup is that water that's sitting still there is motionlessness or
It
motionless?
seems really. I mean, it just seems obvious that it's motionless to me. It's not moving anywhere.
Okay. Do you agree with that? I forget who it was.
Elisha.
Elisha. Is that a
Sorry,
good
what
steel man?
you're gonna have to
On a
repeat.
plane, he has a brand new glass of water and it's not moving at all. It's just sitting there. Is that glass of water? Is that water in the glass
Is
motionless?
the air? Is the plane
No,
flying?
no, it's not. It's not
Yes.
absolutely it's not absolutely
Is the
motionless. It's
plane
only
sitting on the? Or is,
It's flying. It's flying, Jeremy.
I mean, does it
it's emotion.
matter?
Well,
oh,
I'm
then
It
just
the
does
picking
cup.
one
Then the
matter.
because it
cup.
doesn't.
Yeah, it matters because if on stationary Earth, if the plane's sitting still on the runway and you got a cup of water in the plane, the cup of water's not moving.
Okay, but then up in the air, the cup of water is moving.
Interesting.
Yeah, if the plane's moving, then the cup's moving. Obviously, yeah. On
Yeah,
stationary
and
Earth,
if the flight attendant walks she walks the cup of water to you, how fast is the flight attendant moving?
on stationary Earth, because in the globe, you obviously have no
Just
idea how
absolute.
fast.
I'm just
they're-
asking absolute motion. What is her absolute motion?
That's a good
Ground
question.
If she's
at
walking
ground speed.
backwards,
No, she's walking at a pace of 5 miles an hour, right? She's just casually. Well, that's I guess that's casual. Throughout
is
the
she
plane,
walking
right?
backwards or forwards?
forwards?
Forwards.
Is she
She's coming
Always
from the back.
forwards.
They have the water cooler in the back of the plane. This particular one, so she's walking forwards at 5 miles an hour.
Her ground
And how
speed
fast
would
is the
be
plane going?
speed
5 miles an hour in relation to what?
The
Well,
plane
ground
is flying
speed doesn't
around the
matter,
equator,
'cause
and
that's
it's going
relative.
500 miles an hour.
So she's going.
then it'll be
She's moving at
505.
505.
Okay, absolutely, she is right.
This is easy math. Let's keep the math easy like this. Keep them coming.
But
Yeah.
that's an absolute speed of 505.
That's an
Going
absolute ground speed. Yes.
Well, ground is
Interesting.
relative.
If Earth is
We're not
stationary,
restricting absolute.
obviously, like you can just reference everything, anything you want to say is moving or not moving. You just reference it to the ground.
Well, that's
While
a good
there's
point
not
that
an
Elijah
earthquake.
made.
You can do that
Are you saying
anyway.
that there's multiple absolutes, Elijah? You said absolute ground speed, so there's also absolute airspeed and stuff like that?
No, I'm just making sure it's clear what we're saying. I didn't
It's
suggest.
not.
I didn't.
You actually added a level.
No, because it's ground speed. Because
There's levels to this shit.
let me clarify. The reason I said ground speed is because it's absolutely in motion. In this case, the plane and the woman on the plane, right? They're absolutely moving. Now, how you then describe that movement and you give it a quantity, in this case, the sum of both the speeds, the 500 and the 5, right? That's
Yeah.
called ground speed. That's called ground speed,
Yeah,
right?
I'm
But
with you. I'm with you.
speed is the description of the motion, and then the
And
relate
this,
the direction
allow me
that
to
you give
interject for
that is
just a second. One
uh,
second, it'll make sense. This is where we bottom out back to what does it mean to be absolutely moving? Because you said she does have absolute movement. What does that mean?
it's in relation to the objective fixed point. She is moving, and how you then describe that would be, in this case, speed.
And what makes that objective fixed point objective and fixed? Like what characteristics make it that?
Because he thinks Earth isn't moving.
It's the baseline. It's like with height, right? True height, objective height is in relation to sea level. Now, sea level is an obnoxious example in that you have tidal in and outs, but that's generally a thing. So the x and y is in relation to that.
I mean, I don't know where this goes. Like, we can't prove Earth is stationary. You can't prove it's moving. So, I mean, I think
Well, we
we're
can
at
with a
a
ring laser
standstill.
gyroscope.
So you
No,
have
you can't.
So you have scientific. Is that science?
It's absolutely science.
Okay, so you've scientifically falsified stationary Earth.
No, all
Through
he's done is
induction, yes. I would
Hold
say.
on, man. Hold on.
is
Stop. Everyone stop. You have scientifically falsified stationary Earth, you're saying.
Right, to a high degree of certainty. Correct.
So you don't know if it's false or not. You just it's
No, I
probably
know.
false.
I have a justified reason to know.
Has stationary Earth been scientifically falsified? Yes or no?
Yes. Not scientifically
so
proven to not be real, but scientifically
so
falsified, sure.
Okay, dude. So can you just give me a yes or no? So, because I have a follow up. Will you let me
I said
read you for
yes.
2
I
minutes?
already said it. I already said yes.
I know, but then you add all this extra fluffy shit on the end,
Okay,
and
I
then
won't
I
add
can't get a clear conclusion to all my points in a row.
He
So
can
you
lead you into
scientifically,
his trap.
it's
Take
a
me.
trap. Yeah, it's
Take
a
me.
trap. You want to go into my trap?
I've walked into
I'm
many
ready.
Jeremy traps. That's fun. Go with it.
Yeah, if you scientifically falsify, I got your boy. Who is this? ICSpin.
Yeah, what's up, dude?
I got your boy. Your boy McToon with this last time he was here. If you scientifically falsified stationary Earth, that means Earth is 100% moving. You've proven
Wrong.
moving Earth.
bingo.
Okay. How's it
Yeah.
wrong?
Well, because falsification isn't 100%.
Well,
then you
so it
haven't
could be
done it.
true. When you say falsification, you mean maybe false, maybe true. We don't know. That's what falsification means.
Correct.
To a high degree of
That's
certainty,
great.
right? Like
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
you
It's
never know
science,
anything.
bro.
So you're
So
saying
now
you
you
never
understand.
know
What-
anything on either side. That if you falsify it, you don't know if it's false. If your hypothesis is true, you don't know if your hypothesis is true. You never know anything when you do science, according to you guys.
No,
This is
no,
great.
the word no is
This
like
is
a
brilliant.
threshold greater than 99.
No doesn't mean 100%, right?
This is brilliant,
Jeremy,
guys.
this is the
Jeremy, look at
science
the
of
screenshot I
solipsism.
posted in the chat.
Do you know
This
where
is
you
the
were born, Jeremy?
science of solipsism. From his mother. What kind of a question
How
is
does
that?
he know that?
No, we talked
How
about
does
this
how does he
yesterday.
know that?
We talked
Like,
about
does
this
he
yesterday.
remember that?
Nobody knows when they were born.
Well, no, that's not true. Some people actually have memories, but
You don't know.
Do you know
know
your
his
last
date
name?
though?
Do you know your last name, Jeremy? Don't say it, but you know it, right?
it's
I know my
Mod.
last name. Yes,
Yeah.
Jeremy
How do
Mod.
you know it?
it's on my driver's license. That's what I'm called. I don't know.
But like,
So
how do
I
you know
just
that? How do you know that that's really your last name? Like, were you
Find
there?
knowledge.
Like, were you there when like they definitely gave that to your parents and your parents' parents and your parents' like, couldn't it have been screwed up?
Well,
And you're
hold
just
on.
I
carrying this.
mean,
That's
maybe if
that's
it's
a
screwed up
stupid.
though, it's
Arguably,
still my
it,
name. It's still my name though, whether they screwed it up or not, or I was switched at birth or some
Okay,
kind
Yeah,
of
but
maybe
crazy
that's a
shit.
bad
It's still my
example.
name.
It
it's
doesn't
an
That
matter.
is a
Like
arbitrary
very bad,
the
decision.
way,
very
okay,
bad
hold on.
example.
The way I would approach this, Jeremy, is to say, so like we all, there are things we disagree on with Shape of Earth, but there's a lot of things we agree on, like say electrostatics, the way toroids function or whatever. These things are proven in the same sense, right? They're we're all highly confident in them because they have empirical evidence behind them. So I would say we've falsified stationary Earth in the same way that we understand electricity.
Yeah, but by false, you mean it could still be true though. By
Yeah, in the same
falsified.
way that we may be
That's right.
totally wrong about electricity.
So you
Do you
can't
think do you
falsify
think
anything anymore.
To
we
a high
never
degree
So
of
could?
this is
certainty, you
We never
can. Not
could.
that's
absolutely
legit what
that.
this has come to. This legit has come to. You guys don't even know what's false anymore in science.
No, we
No, no,
never
no.
could. I think you had an
Right,
incorrect
right.
understanding of how inductive reasoning works and how science works.
No, I know how falsifying things works, and it sounds like when you falsify something, it's false.
Yeah, if
Yes.
you're using
And
inductive
you
reasoning,
guys are telling me now though. You guys are telling me that now though. When you falsify something, that doesn't mean that it's false.
correct. So everything you know about electricity and all the things that you use to reason about the world, that's true of all those things. That's always been the case for science. You won't find any science book that says that once something's falsified, it's 100% with zero room for doubt.
I like this guy.
So falsify doesn't mean false.
I mean, it's just a word game. I'm describing how science has always worked.
And you know what this is
It's
proof
I
like
mean,
of,
I was
Jeremy?
under the impression that falsification meant you found out something was false. You falsified it.
Yeah,
And you
in
guys are
inductive
telling me
reasoning
now,
for science, it
you
has
guys are telling me now, no, it could still be true.
what I'm saying is there's a difference between falsifying something with deductive logic and falsifying something with inductive logic.
yes.
And
Yeah, but I think you
honestly, it would
gotta
be
have
better. Maybe if we had a different word
the.
for it, then we could communicate better. But we're
Yeah,
kind of all stuck sharing the word.
That's
this
why
is proof of
typically.
absolute ignorance, apparently.
That's why typically that, like colloquially, yeah, we'll say falsification, but like in a scientific sense, they're going to apply probabilities, or they're going to say things like to a high degree of certainty, etc. But that's how science speaks in deductive reasoning speak, if you will,
Wait, science is an entity?
in general, right? Like taking it out of the legal system and putting it into a
What does
scientific setting. So,
what does probability have to do with scientific experimentation?
well, I mean, there's a non-zero chance that you can walk through that wall, right?
Yeah, but that wasn't my question, right?
That's all I
What
mean.
does
Well,
probability have to do with scientific experimentation?
I gave you an example that should make it obvious to you. Like scientific, there's always room for science to be incorrect about its assumptions, right? And we have to leave a probability factor, and we have error bars, things like this. Those are all probabilistic in nature, right?
No, the assumption is how you render it as being a non-valid one, or just the null. But
I don't know what you mean by that.
in terms of how you actually perform the experimentation, it's got nothing to do with probability. You control the variables that you have knowledge of, And you, in terms of maybe how you're expecting it to go and why you didn't prepare for certain variables because you made assumptions. That's why maybe your experiment is weak and not very
Hey,
effective.
the experiment's definitely weak. So let me just get this straight. You do an experiment, and then in the end, you don't know if it's false and you don't know if it's true. Your premise, right?
Yeah, you're either going to confirm the hypothesis or you're going to confirm the null.
Yeah, but according to you guys, you don't know though. It could still be wrong. Whatever. If you
It's
confirm
just
the
evidence.
null,
Yeah.
if you confirm
The
the
more
null
times
and
that people do it,
falsify
yeah.
it,
Evidence. That's all.
so you do science and don't know after.
No, you can. No, it's not 100%. We've been over this.
No,
Well, it'd be
knowing is
like,
I have a
okay,
proof
Jeremy,
that knowing is
take
100%. There's an actual proof that knowing
Absolutely,
is
Jeremy.
100%. I made it up
say
one day.
okay, but like walk through this. Like say like way back in the day, we were trying to figure out if water boils. So somebody at sea levels like does an experiment. They're like, my hypothesis is that water will boil at 100 degrees Celsius, and they do it, and it boils right at 100 degrees, and they're like, oh wow, that's cool. Do they
That's
know
not
that that's what
experiment.
happens? No. So they repeat it 5,000 times, and every time it boils. So now they say, I know this is true 100%, right? That's kind of your take.
Yeah,
Well, now that
Well, no,
same
that's
guy
hold
goes
on.
up.
That's Neil deGrasse Tyson's take. Neil deGrasse Tyson and me are actually on the same side on this because he also agrees that once you have experimental consensus, you have a new truth about reality. So it's me and Neil on the same side. So
Okay.
you guys are just
So we know
steelmanning the
100%
greatest
zero
science
room.
communicator of all time.
Yeah. So zero room for any budging because we know 100%. Now somebody goes up on a mountain and boils water, and the boiling temperature is lower. Right.
Yeah, but that's where you misunderstand what's going on, right? Because it's not the hypothesis had nothing to do with the temperature. Because the temperature that it reaches isn't the cause. The
That's
cause
right.
is heat. So you
Heat.
apply heat or don't apply heat. The fact that you got 100 at
There's
sea
no
level is
difference.
just
There's no
no.
difference.
The fact that you got 100 degrees at sea level is just how you describe the outcome. But that doesn't take away from the cause being heat.
It's
Yeah,
just
obviously,
the
metrics
whole
are not
you missed
part
the
of
whole point of
obviously,
you missed the whole point of what I was trying to say.
metrics are
What I
not
was trying to
part
say
of
is
scientific
you can
method.
repeat it. You can repeat it 1,000 times and say at some point, Jeremy says that we should say I know 100%, but we don't because as soon as we learn that a different pressure, different elevation yields a different result, that old thing gets thrown out, and then we adjust it. That's how science works.
No, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
but
you
it doesn't
always
get
have to
thrown
leave
out
room
though.
to
In that
adjust and
have
experiment,
improve.
you
nothing
can
to do with the
still.
scientific
Hello,
method.
I was already talking, bro. Come on, man. In that experiment, when you're at sea level and the water boiled and shit, you don't throw that out. That's still the truth. You can make water boil with the heat. It's not like that's false anymore.
Yes,
Well, it is
specific
false
causal
because water.
relationship.
What you've proved, the truth is water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. It doesn't actually.
No, but
You're
you're
saying the
That's
thing I
false.
misinterpreting
did.
it.
You're saying the thing I
That was
did didn't
never the
happen.
hypothesis.
You're saying the
Go
thing I
ahead.
did didn't happen. That's what you'd have to
No,
say in order for that to not be
no.
true. Well, in order for
No,
my
that's
thing to
not.
not be true,
That's
you'd
the whole
have to
point of
say the thing I
inductive.
did didn't happen.
No, I'm not. Inductive
Yeah, it's
logic
not
is a bunch of
post-hoc.
things I did. Hold on. A bunch of things I did happened. And then because of those things that I watched happen, I draw a conclusion about what's going to happen the next time. That's the core of inductive reasoning. And the conclusion is the truth, right? Or that's the thing we're debating about whether it's true or not. So my conclusion is if I put exactly 100 degrees Celsius on water, it'll boil, right? But we know that's not actually true. But it doesn't change the fact that at sea level, you could repeat that experiment 10,000 times and you get the same result.
No,
We just have to learn and adjust.
Because it's
conflating
true. That's why you can repeat it over and over again. Is because it's true.
Can I just say something quick before I just need to go to the toilet? Jeremy, I can assure you, I don't know Neil deGrasse Tyson, Smoke deGrasse Tyson, but I can assure you he doesn't believe in truth in the absolute sense that you're using it.
Okay, I mean, you're divining Neil deGrasse Tyson's thoughts. I mean, I know
I
that's
can
what
assure
Glober's.
you, especially if he's in regards to science. I can
that's
assure
what
you.
Globers do. I know they divine other people's thoughts. They do weird shit. All right, good input.
Okay, I kind of want to go back to the absolute motion because I feel like what Elisha said before is that when he talks about motion, he's not like talking about speed. He's just saying the idea that something is moving. Is that fair?
Yes. You have no movement, no motion without a fixed point. It won't follow. It's illogical.
Okay, so if a bike is on a train, moving with the train, it's moving because the train is moving relative to the earth, the bike's with the train, right?
Yeah, it just so happens
Except in that Red Bull video.
Sorry?
That Red Bull video, he really wasn't going anywhere, right? He was basically staying in the same geographic location. I mean, he was obviously moving, but
so my question is like if I'm moving with the train and then in that video I start pedaling the other direction, is it possible to reach a point where I'm not moving?
as in you're in the same geographic location, yes.
Correct. Yeah, I'm not moving. Like my speed is 0, but Elisha would say my absolute speed relative to Earth is 0, but Elisha would argue I'm still moving. Is that case possible?
In that scenario, that's like a unique situation because in order to maintain that fixed relationship to ground, you are in. I don't know if this is an acceptable term, but you're in fixed motion. Like it's like running on a treadmill. You're definitely moving. Your body is moving, but you're like.
What does it mean to have fixed
It's
motion?
different. It's
Can you
different than a
explain that?
treadmill because we can show, like, if we're saying absolute motion is relative to the earth, we can show that the train has absolute motion, whereas a treadmill just stays in one place.
Right. So in that situation,
hold on, Elijah, you missed it. The train does have absolute motion.
I'm granting the
right.
premise. I'm granting the
Okay.
premise that absolute motion is relative to Earth. Just for
All right, fine.
I just want to make sure I understand.
Yeah. So in that situation, it's interesting because the whole system that is, let's say, like let's pick the fixed point, like the center of quote unquote gravity of like in his navel, right? That is fixed. Anyone else get dropped out?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, Discord will be bugging out. Second time today. So in that situation, the total system that is the man is not moving with relation to the earth, but his whole system, like different parts of it, are moving. So the fact that he's having to walk or run, or is this one a cyclist?
He's riding
Is
a
he
bike.
cycling?
He's riding a bike.
Okay, so the bike is the bike pedals are moving, the tires are moving in relation to the earth, right?
To the train.
But yeah, well, in relation to the earth as well. Because though the total system of the bike is in a fixed point, right? In order to maintain that, the pedals are moving. So there is motion within the system to maintain the system's the total system's fixed point in relation. So for instance, like a helicopter to maintain the hover, it has to move its propellers. There is motion maintaining that fixed relationship. So you can say it as like the totality of the system is fixed. But in order to maintain,
I agree with that. I would just say that the motion of a bike pedal, like you tend to associate it with the thing that it's most closely tied to. So the pedals move relative to the frame of the bike. I wouldn't say the pedals are moving relative to a fixed point on Earth.
Everything can be said to be moving in relation to other stuff if it is moving in relation.
Well, I know,
to
but like
stuff.
for bike pedals,
we're dealing with the absolute, right? What you would want to bring, and this would be an interesting, if there's ever a way to do this, is without the application of any motion whatsoever within the system in relation to the Earth. Can you have a situation where you're on an objectively moving object or system, in this case the train, and you're maintaining a fixed relationship to the Earth without motion? I would argue that that's impossible. I would argue that that's impossible. Because in order to do the example that you had, however much there would be variability, let's just ignore the variability for now. In order to have that, you have to have the motion of the pedals, you have to have the motion of the wheels, you have to have the motion of his legs, and that's pretty much it, right? And maybe
I'm
his head.
I'm saying, like, let's take his like you said, his navel. Ignore the bike, because the bike is just a part. It's a part of the overall system. Is his, is the
Yeah, because
center of his mass
two
moving?
systems becoming one. Yeah, but in order
Is
to
this
do that, right? In order to make this actually helps prove the point of the absolute, right? When he is on something that is of a surety moving, the train, in order to maintain a relationship that is fixed to that which the train is not, right? He has to be in motion in relationship to the train.
correct?
That what you're doing, even though it's a unique example and is kind of contrived, right?
It's
Not to
not
be
okay,
completely
but yeah,
dismissive.
it is sort of contrived.
It's contrived in that you actually have to know the objective thing in order to maintain that fixed relationship with it. You have
Yeah.
to acknowledge that. So what you're doing is actually proving the point that I've been making in an even greater way by bringing up this somewhat unique example.
Okay, so I think what I think you said is you can be moving, you can have motion and also have zero speed.
In this scenario, I think that's correct way to render it or to say it.
I was thinking of another one. There's another one that I've seen that's kind of. I think it was where instead of pedaling a bike, they had a launch chair. So there wasn't like movement of. You didn't have like rotational movement going on. They just sat in a chair, got launched backwards off of a truck or something.
Well,
But I do agree.
that's why
You have to know the speed of the truck relative to the ground, and then you have to launch the person at the
right.
exact same speed.
You have to have the objective framework in order to then construct or contrive the scenario in the manner that it's been done.
Yeah,
So
I would just say it's
whether you
way more
whether
useful to just describe the motion relative. The person is moving 20 miles an hour relative to the train's moving relative to the earth, and then the person on the bike is moving zero. He's not moving relative to the earth.
right, because that's the dealing with the realities and all, because all those interplays, all those like the systems within systems and how they interact, and then you got friction because he's outside, and if the wind was sufficient or if he had enough surface area, he would actually move backwards quite substantially and potentially fall off depending on how fast the thing's going, right? And all those relationships are good for the physics, but we're not even there, right? Where everything about this conversation is actually aside from what you're focusing on. You're focusing on the details and the descriptions of interacting scenarios. But I was dealing with the fundamental. The fundamental doesn't need a scenario. It doesn't need a
one more thing, and then I
hypothetical.
think we beat it to death. When the person, because I agree with you to say that the trains move, like just for our intuition, the train's moving. When he starts riding his bike backwards, I would contend that people would say he is moving using the exact same logic. They would just say it relative to the train, right? Everybody would say when he starts pedaling his bike, everybody would say he's moving, but they wouldn't say it because of his relationship to Earth. They would say he's moving because he got on his bike and started moving, forward to his perspective, his kind of relative frame of reference.
Yeah, because people are inherently focused on their perception. So if you're just talking about the perception, you describe it from that point of view, right? An eyewitness is going to describe what they see from their point of view because that's all they have. But
Correct.
if you're having an objective discussion about reality, you have to go to the fundamentals first because anything that is subjective has no significance without the objective first. And then the question is this because the subjective in this case would be the senses. Those things are not necessarily opinionated and full of crap. They're doing their job for a purpose, right? The way you perceive something flying at your head is for a purpose for you to be able to interact with it should you need to dodge it, right? But that doesn't the fact that it appears to not be moving but just growing and you're like, what's going on? That weird scenario of something like directly in your eye line, not moving x or y. No, not moving left or right, up or down, but just growing in size. You're like, oh, that's weird. And without the two eyes, if you only had one eye, and that was that perfect thing, you'd be in a scenario where you don't know what's going on. But that's why we have the multiple things, the multiple vision aspects to be able to interpret those things so we don't get hurt and all this whatever. But none of that has any significance without the objective, right?
How
And
do
this,
you
I think,
determine?
No, I mean, I sort of disagree. I think people, if you're talking about motion and like movement away or from people, like a steward, if you're on a plane and all the windows were closed, I don't think you could tell whether the flight attendant was walking 5 miles or 550 miles an hour, and I don't think it would matter.
Sounds
Like nobody would.
yeah,
The people don't think
it,
that way. We don't
yeah,
say
because
like when.
because you take it for granted. You take in your daily life, you take for granted that when you step out onto the road isn't going to be moving. The road is fixed. The ground is fixed. The
I
tree
feel
is
like
not moving.
I feel like
You
you're
take that for
conflating
granted
objective and
because. Go ahead.
it sounds to me like you're conflating objective and subjective with relative and absolute.
Me too.
No, I'm not.
Like what I'd say is this: if I'm sitting on a plane, let's just say I fell asleep. I don't know if we might have landed, but I don't know. I see a flight attendant walking towards me. Like I wouldn't say if somebody said is that flight attendant in motion? I wouldn't say let me I need to open the window first so I can look at the ground to make the determination if she's moving or not, or he's moving or not.
Right, because
Right?
it doesn't relate to the question that's being asked.
But it doesn't affect whether or not she's in motion either, right?
I like the example of if you were hypothetically, obviously, in free space, there were no forces acting on you whatsoever, and nothing around you. You know, you were so far out. I mean, this is I once asked ChatGPT about how far you'd have to be away from the Earth for no gravity whatsoever, and it's millions of miles allegedly. But anyway, just imagine if you're in free space. What is actually happening? Are you falling? How do you know? How do you know, Pfinky?
I don't think you would know.
Exactly.
My kids played this game. I don't think you'd know.
Right,
Like
you have to
my kids play
remember
this game
when
called Space Flight Simulator, which is really fascinating because you get this little spaceship, and they model like the gravitational pulls, and it's sort of like you're inside. You get inside of this like gravitational pull of one body, and then you leave it, and you're like, oh, I'm free. I'm like floating through the vast expanse of space, but you're not. You're just in the gravitational pull of like the next bigger thing. And I don't think you
that's
could
funny
tell. I
because
don't think you could tell what
can't.
was going on.
That's funny because you can't build a game like that without the absolute. It doesn't work. However much it's just a game for the fun of it, just to play on perceptions for entertainment
What does
value.
that? What does that mean?
Without
You can't build that game without absolutes. Are you saying like without God? Basically, is that what you're saying?
well, no, there is an absolute reference. Like there would be an XYZ within the game for them to even begin to present that to you in a graphical form.
So what's fixed in the game?
0, 0, 0. That would be the fixed, and then everything relates to that,
And
or
that
whatever particular grid thing that game functions by.
it sounds like this is speculation on your behalf, right?
Well,
No,
I mean, you could say with the
no.
starting, they start from
This
Earth.
comes from knowledge of how games are built. They might have a complex system of like a bunch of independent 0, 0, 0s, right?
So I think what you're saying though is like you're not talking about it
Working.
in the sense of like the actual gameplay. You're just talking about it from a programmer's perspective. Like you spawn here, and that's 0, 0, 0.
Yeah. This one that I'm talking about is 2D, so it'd be X, Y, and yeah, they're going to have
Okay,
like
that's fine.
each, in order to know where in free space the spaceship is and where it's traveling, they would have to map that against some distance. But everything's moving. It's not like, and the reason I brought it up was it wasn't as a proof. It was like one of the first times where it really sunk in the idea of like you don't ever really escape gravity.
Yeah, vicious ex-girlfriend.
I don't think you lot ever get to the point of understanding what gravitation is.
You're probably right.
It's not
I'm
a problem
not.
I have. You guys.
I'm not that. I don't think I'm smart enough to,
You,
or
you
probably
take
motivated
the
enough to fully
observation.
understand it.
You take
The
the
cool thing is you
observation
can
of gravitation and you elevate it to a noun and call it gravity, and you misunderstand what you're actually observing.
I'm
The cool
like,
thing
when I
is-
say it, I'm just saying the phenomenon that things fall, you know, that they fall towards Earth, and that they are going to fall towards a even larger body at a faster rate.
The cool thing
So
is,
I
like,
get
you
that.
don't
I
have
get
to
that you
actually
don't. I
see-
get that you don't understand. That you don't agree with the orbits and stuff, and that's fine. But from a modeling
Etheric.
perspective, it's interesting.
The cool thing is you actually don't have to see like that. You know how you said you don't actually escape it, but you can kind of know that, well, whatever is bigger is obviously that direction because I'm getting pulled there when I'm sitting still. And it's in a similar sense on the Earth, right? You could be locked inside of a cinder block wall, but you could have there are ways for you to tell experimentally, if you have the resources, what latitude you might be at, for example. And you don't have to actually go up into space to see that.
What, you mean just look on a map?
No, you don't have a map, but you do have a Foucault's pendulum.
It'd be easier to
Dang,
carry around a map.
Mockery went over your head a little bit there, but okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying, in a general
You need
sense, it is.
the
It is
etheric
interesting.
groundwork, the groundward pressure. That's what induces gravitation.
Say that again. The etheric. What'd you say?
Etheric groundward pressure, or downward pressure.
The etheric
Downward and groundward is the
downward
same
pressure.
meaning, but groundward sounds weird.
I mean, you can
It's
make
like
up
you always
anything
get when you.
for why things fall. You could literally make up anything. I mean, look what they did with space time. So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but
the criticism was that we just take something and invent a noun for it. I mean, it sounds like you're kind of doing the same thing.
no, I'm not. No, this this is a descriptive.
So it's gravity.
No,
What did you add
gravity is not.
etheric?
no, it's not
Gravity,
descriptive. The thing you just said with
gravity
the
is not.
etheric pressure is explanatory. Just like they're
No,
Einstein shit.
the whole thing is explanatory, but the groundward pressure of the ether, that's descriptive. But obviously, not everyone's going to agree with that. But that's a description of the
But you're saying
reality.
that's why things fall, right?
That's what induces the gravitation, and then the way you understand the relationship of that comes from that.
Yeah, so it
And
was called gravity. Can we test that? Can we test this idea?
Then you bring in the relationship of like density and buoyancy, but all of it falls within. You have the Earth proper, the pressure that's being applied, and then those interactions inside that system. But what was your question?
Is this etheric thing the same thing that keeps satellites up in the sky?
I wouldn't know because I don't know what type of satellites you're talking about.
I think maybe. I think
Just
I've heard P-Labs do that.
regular satellite, a
It's
GPS
probably
satellite.
it's probably
GPS satellite.
related. It's probably related that
A regular satellite,
Yeah, just a
just
normal.
a normal satellite.
A run of the mill.
It's got like it has like a solar panel on it and a couple little arms and stuff. So, yep, I'm one of the weird globers. I think there's probably I think at some point we're gonna come up with something better than relativity, or we'll explain it better. I'm open to that.
it's always been
That's
ether.
not that weird.
Bro, relativity was an emergency. Relativity was an emergency situation, bro. They had to
I know.
figure
Well, it's
out how
sort
do
of
we
to
fix
like
this not
rescue
getting a
ether.
measurement.
Sorry.
No, they had to figure out how they had to fix how they didn't get a measurement of us orbiting, and they were like, "Oh shit, we got to come
Here
up
we
with
go
something."
again.
That was MMX, right? MMX was trying to detect the motion. They didn't, so Lorentz came up with the Lorentz contraction where the arm shrinks. That was to save the ether. And then Einstein basically just made it where you didn't have to have the ether with it, but it's all kind of the same.
Yeah, but the fact that he's trying to have it without the ether is just retarded because the ether is demonstrated, and he knew it.
I don't think it
Is it?
is though. I'm open to
I
it
think
being demonstrated, but I don't think it has
in an
been thus
absolute
far.
sense, I think it is, right?
you'd have to research it. I would just go and watch the debates on it, because one of the issues that this stems from is the misinterpretation of things like Mikkels and Morley, right? But I'm trying to post something so
Like,
that
do you
you can
think
read it.
do you think Mickelson and Morley misinterpreted their own research?
I don't know what he said, but I know that when you actually look into it, Einstein was like, well, this is a problem for me and how I'm doing my thing.
Okay, because their conclusion was that they failed to detect the ether.
I don't think that's true from what I
Yeah, it
remember.
wasn't that they failed to detect motion, just the ether.
No, they failed
No.
to detect the orbit though. They didn't measure the orbit.
Yeah, it would be their hypothesis was that their hypothesis was that the ether is stationary. I think most, like Shane and Alan, aren't stationary ether. They agree that
Right.
was largely
So
falsified. But if there's
that's
a
right,
moving
right?
ether, then we should be able to demonstrate that. So my take is, if there's a thing called ether and it's
Well, that's what Bob
absolutely
did.
hold on, let me this is quick. If there's a thing called ether and it's impossible to detect, it's impossible to manipulate, it's impossible to falsify, then it's not very useful as a concept.
Yeah, but it's not though.
The word
I'm
falsify
open to
doesn't
that.
mean anything to you
How is
guys
it
though, 'cause
detected?
you don't know
How
if
can
it's
we
false
detect it?
after. The word falsify doesn't mean anything to you guys because you don't know if it's false or true after. So what does
Well,
that even
we
mean? You
should move away
falsified
from
it.
that, Jeremy. It's not helping anyone.
Well,
How did they
Jeremy, I
I
think
know it's
Falsy.
you're
not helping
Let's just
how did
anyone
say,
they
because
Jeremy,
demonstrate
we'll
in
it?
the
just say
end
it's
when you do your
falsy. It's falsy.
in
It
the end
has
when you did your
qualities
thing,
of
if
being
you knew
false.
something, yeah, if you knew if it was false or true after, then it would do something. I agree. This idea of falsification doesn't do anything. It's stupid.
That's a straw man though of what falsification is.
And with
You had to
knowledge.
buy it, didn't you? For fuck's sake.
No, I want to hear how we can detect ether. So I'd be open to there being ether. It sounds cool.
Yeah, I'd love to. How did they demonstrate it? That'd be great.
Go do go read the original literature.
Fucking reading? That sounds like work.
I'm one of the
You
weirdos. I've actually
you
read
have to
the
go.
MMX experiment,
When was that conducted?
the late 1800s.
But Elijah,
It's real
you said
old.
yourself that you don't know what the conclusion of the Michelson and Morley experiment is, right? So how can you draw a conclusion based on secondhand knowledge, I guess?
Yeah, because I don't use the Michelson Morley to make my points. I just because you're talking about relativity, right? That
Well,
was an issue. That was an issue for Einstein,
but you're
and
arguing
then
for the conclusion.
that's what that relates to what Jeremy said, right? Because he then had to cope and make his things and adjust his thing. But in his own writing, he admits that caused an issue. But to what the
And
other
no,
guy
that's
said,
not what he says.
because to what the other person spoke about, the situation was the assumption of a fixed ether. But at no point is there a question whether there in that experiment was there an ambiguity on the ether. That was already an established understanding. They just had to revise their view on the stationary aspect of it. But
I would strongly disagree with that characterization.
of course you disagree, but that's not the point, right? And
Well, I mean, like
that's why I brought
they
up,
would disagree. They would disagree with you.
that's why I brought
Like,
up Bob, because people use that to prove motion of the Earth. So, well, no, because when you actually listen to everything that he had to say on it, the motion speeds and the way the recordings came back would change depending on where he was. If the Earth was actually moving and that's what was being detected, they wouldn't change just because he went to a different
Well,
location.
what's the cause of the 15 degree per hour deflection?
It's the rotation of the ether or the motion of the ether.
But they put it
Depending on the
inside of a
depending on
in
the
like
locations, it would be different,
they
and it was
shielded
different.
it from all of the ether, cosmic winds,
You can't.
and rays,
You
etc.
this is one of the issues. You
Presumably, you
can't
could shield it
do
from
that.
some of them, right? But it was still 15 degrees per hour. So, like, why didn't it change a little bit?
It did. Honestly, you have to go and look up. I think I posted a couple of weeks ago. You have to go and look up. I think New Perspective has it on his channel of him actually speaking about it. I think in 24/7 back in the day, and going into detail about what happened, because people were just obviously they were taking the piss. They were just being antagonistic. But he just happened to be there at the time, so he spoke up and gave a detailed breakdown of what
So,
happened. Because most of
I've
people's
got
perspectives, just to be
I've
clear,
got
most people's
the oh
perspectives are
sorry.
well, yeah,
yeah,
one
because
second.
most of the conclusions that people draw about that is from the documentary, only taking the snippet. But when you
So,
actually hear him speak about it in total, you're like, oh, hold on a minute, you can't conclude that about the Earth when you have these other readings. Because if you're
so
going to cite one, then you have to cite the others. But go ahead.
what do you make of the one part of the documentary where he didn't realize he was being recorded and he said this is going to be bad for us if we release this?
Because he hadn't finished yet. I think he might talk about that in the video on New Perspectives channel, which again is just a recording of him speaking about it in a Discord.
Well, what specifically was he referring to when he said this will be bad?
That's why I don't want to render like an answer to you, because I know that the thing was heavily edited. Not just him; they hated what they did. Right? It was a pile of dog shit what they did with that. So I would have to hear it from the horse's mouth, from first hand, to know what he's actually referring to, because you could just clip things together.
That's fair.
But I think,
That's fair.
yeah, so that's why I think just go and talk to him, because he can tell you the whole story without any pieces
Well,
missing.
He's
he's
not alive
dead.
anymore.
Yeah,
I know,
he
but
died.
it's recorded, right?
Well, we can't talk
That's
to
my
them,
point.
right? We can't cross-examine the witness, so to speak.
Oh, did I say talk?
Yeah.
Okay, well, go and listen to his account. Now, yeah, if you want to leave room for maybe he was just making it up, sure, but you can then just go and confirm what he said for yourself, should you have the resources. I know that's a little tricky, but you're dealing with a tricky situation anyway, because it's one of the hardest and most fundamental aspects of reality to get one's head
Well,
around.
to be fair, he could, right. We could say that it was a Hollywood moment. I could grant that, but for the sake of argument, what is Hollywood trying to pursue? That my only question was, and again, you're going to go back to, well, we don't know, which is fine. But like, what is Hollywood trying to show, right, in this little interaction? Like, what are they trying to convey, whether or not it was staged? Like, there's a message being sent there. It was all that was my point.
I think it's just to discredit the people, right? Because, for instance, Jaron doesn't help himself with the way he is, right?
Yeah, but I'm just talking about in a specific sense. Of course, the entire movie was
Yeah,
a
to be
mockumentary, if you want to say it, or
right.
whatever.
So that's enough. That's enough. Like, it doesn't have to, because then they just leave you. They make an association. They do clever editing. Then they leave it to the audience to render their opinions on these characters, and then
Sure,
what they say. Because if I make you look like a
but
mug because
yeah,
I say certain things or cut you up to trip the way you speak about something, but the thing that you're
sure,
speaking about is water is wet, right? If
yeah,
as a result of that, because I think you're a clown because of the way you conducted yourself, I'm like, oh, he said water is wet. Man, that must mean water isn't wet. Then I'm an idiot for concluding that. But that's the whole intention of these things. That's why I'm like, well, pass through all that. Let me go to the actual topic. Let me go to the information, regardless of whether I think this guy's retarded or not. Is what the guy's saying something that I can either investigate for myself, learn more about, and draw my own conclusions from?
yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
think
why.
it's fair to be. I think
If
it's
I
fair to be
went
suspicious. Like based on that conversation, I think it's fair to be suspicious, right? Because there are people that are anyway.
Well, I was
suspicious
just
on
going
who,
to say,
you
like,
have to be
yeah.
clear what you're saying.
Well, the only other thing, let
Suspicious of
me
what?
just finish this real quick. The only other thing I was going to say is that yes, there's an overall. I mean, we don't know their motivation, so we can leave that. But like, there's an overall sense of like, yeah, these flat Earth people are crazy. That's kind of the sense of the movie. But specifically, they're building this body of evidence to show the audience, right? Like they're putting on a performance, and sure, it's slanted, but like in that specific case, they were sending a specific message by showing that this specific thing that is not good for flat Earth, right? Like that was my only point.
Yeah, I think that comes from the fact that a lot of them have, because you know what happened after that, right? And you know what still happens to this day. You have a bunch of people who can
Thanks,
acknowledge the
Bob.
obvious about Earth being stationary, but point blank refuse to engage with the ether discussion. And the reason this is interesting from my point of view is before I ever even got to the point of entertaining or even contemplating Earth and its shape or what have you, I was already studying this stuff from the Tesla point of view, reading the literature, all of this stuff since way back when, because it's a personal interest of mine. So I have that background of just pure interest and understanding. So when I then saw it, and then even though I didn't watch the whole documentary, but I've seen the clips, right? I'm like, well, whatever their nonsense is, I don't care, because all this does is it adds interest and information to what I've already established about the ether. But if you don't have that knowledge and you have a bias against it, then it's easy to draw the conclusion that, oh, this, along with all the other bloopers, along with all the other nonsense, right, and along with all the other actual things that definitely happened and can't be misinterpreted. Therefore, I'm gonna bolster my opinion on the globe.
Have you seen the
But you have to already be in that camp to interpret it that way.
Have you seen the analysis of the data that was being videoed? With I don't think it was with Nathan Thompson or Bob's knowledge. Someone can correct me, but where they were sitting at the computer and you could clearly see the z-axis was like staying at 15 degrees per hour on the screen, and like he was kind of having a mini meltdown about like what to do about it. Like it was. I'll have to find the clip. I don't know exactly where it is, but does anyone else know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
Yeah, just don't grant it anything, because that there is
Well, it's
motion
real
in the
data.
system. Yeah, but that there is motion in the system. I've never argued that. I've never had an issue with that. I just choose to not be a retard and not interpret the motion of the luminaries and all the other things that are associated with that to the point that, oh, that means that the Earth itself is moving, because that's the thing that happens.
Yeah. Well, but
It's
would you be
obvious
willing to
that
grant?
it's obvious we have a system with motion in it. It's just put the
You
motion in its proper place.
you can say all this stuff is fixed, and that's fine. But would you be willing to grant that that is a piece of evidence and a piece of positive evidence for the globe because it comports with the globe model, the 15 degrees per hour?
No,
Explain how.
because it is a situation that you have these measurements, right? It is a situation that you see the delta with the rotation of the
Just allow me to
luminaries.
expand briefly. It'll take me 20
Hold
seconds,
on,
right?
I'm
There's a
getting. I
rotating
heard you.
body that's a sphere, right? 15 degrees per hour would dictate a full 360 degrees for 24 hours. How does that not comport with what the globe says?
Right, because just because it's associated, just because the claim in the model is associated with what we observe in the sky, doesn't then bolster or lend justification to the model and its ultimate conclusions.
I didn't say ultimate conclusions. I said, is it a piece of evidence for the globe, a positive piece of evidence for the globe? It doesn't need to draw the conclusion that the globe is real.
It can be interpreted as a positive piece of evidence, but objectively speaking, it's not, because you have to make the assumptions in order to interpret it. Whereas if you don't make any assumptions and you just go with what you can see and determine, you have a better situation where it's like, okay, it's moving and it moves at this rate. Anything past that, without another observation that's making that statement, right? Anything past that, you're making logical leaps.
So is it fair to say that
So
what you're
it,
saying is that
it,
this is a good piece of evidence, but because of all of this other stuff, I can't like say
no,
that this helps us draw a conclusion.
I'm acknowledging that I know why people can perceive it as good, but objectively speaking, and obviously I get it, it's coming from a man who has his opinions. But you can see why I'm saying objectively, because I'm not forcing it. I'm simply saying I don't need to add anything to it. It is what it is. What that means, I have questions about, and if I can, I'll investigate.
So it's
But that doesn't
conclusion first.
that doesn't
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that it's positive. Because remember, when you actually have the comparison of stationary Earth to motion Earth, the burden of proof is completely and utterly on the motion Earth.
Yeah.
So
All I'm saying is like you got
for
out
it
of your
for it
car
to be positive,
and you
for
stepped
it
in
to
a
be
puddle.
positive, for it to be true positive evidence, it has to be objective.
Well, it's just positive evidence. You don't have to say true, right? Just positive evidence. It's a good confirmation for the
No,
model, right? It shows what
if
the.
somebody thinks that no, because if somebody thinks like shit and someone says, "Oh, that
I'm not
smells
trying to
good,"
trap you. I'm just saying. I just want to know how honest you're going to be. Like that it is even with yourself. I'm not saying to us, but like that the 15 degrees per hour on a rotating body that's a sphere. Um, over the course of 24 hours, will complete the sphere of 360 degrees. It's a simple math question that I'm asking you in a different way, right?
it's
But
not.
like,
See what you did there? You
what?
inserted sphere. I don't need to have sphere in order to conclude
It can be a
the
rotating
360.
cube. It's going to wind up where it was, 15 degrees per hour in 24 hours. It's going to wind up back at
There is a delta over time that does complete the degrees within a circle.
within a sphere or a circle.
No, categorically within a circle, because how many degrees does a sphere have? It's basically infinite.
I'm talking about rotational motion though, right? Like, so you're right. Like a circle is 360 degrees in 24 hours. If we go 15 degrees,
Yeah,
that's,
but you
there you
don't.
go.
But you don't need sphere in order to have that. That's my point.
That's
You
why I
have to,
said you can make it a cube. You can make it a parallel. You can make it whatever you want.
and
Anything that is a 3D.
even if you make it a cube, you also don't have to have it that the cube is moving, but rather that the things that you see above the cube that they're moving in a circular fashion,
I feel like
360
going
degrees
anywhere.
over the course.
I just wanted to know if you thought that the 15 degrees per hour that was recorded. Let's, if you can grant this, right? If you can grant for the sake of argumentation that they did somehow or another 15 degrees was actually recorded. We don't have to assign the cause, but this 15 degrees, what the globe is saying makes sense, and it is good evidence for that model in particular.
You
That's all
think
I'm
it
saying.
is?
But it's not
No, I don't,
exclusive
listen,
to
No,
I
it's
don't
that
even
good.
grant
model,
the, I don't even
right?
grant the
Yeah, it's
moon
good
landing
evidence
to
of
begin with. I
rotation.
don't
So it
know
could be a flat
if
Earth
everybody's
rotating.
like, what did we all get riled up? Same
Yeah,
exact
Eric, that one
conversation.
really.
That's fine. That's totally
It's
Hi,
fine.
what's up,
not
No Tanks?
exclusive,
So,
I didn't say exclusive. I just said a good piece of evidence. I'm not
right?
taking any
So yeah,
conclusion.
yeah. Thank you.
I just,
Just let's make
yeah,
that clear.
I'd qualify
yeah.
it too. I'd say it's good evidence of the rotation. You could have a flat disk that rotates, and you'd get
How
you'd
you
get
choose to
arguably the same result.
interpret the observations is the key point. But before we get too far off the gravitation thing, just so that you have me clear, this is a quote from Jerry Vassilatos, and this is what Tesla's position was. So, ether was ether was gaseous radiance, often invisible to the eye, but a powerful pressure source. So the pressure is what's detected, to Andy's question earlier. Along with several colleagues of the day, Tesla firmly ascribed to the etheric theory of gravitation. Gravitation was evidence that a groundward etheric pressure was at work, permeating mass and producing fixed relationships of attraction with respect to the Earth proper. The apparent constant acceleration of different falling masses was accordingly calculated as a function of density and cross-section. The rest is just an opinion, but that's the totality of the view.
Yeah,
And then
I've got
fast
nothing
forward.
else.
So the
Tanks, were
reason
you
this is
responding?
relevant, to the discussion is that this is way back when. Now I know someone said that the 1800s, the MMX thingy, but I would encourage you to keep reading the other literature to have a clear point. Because if you don't go that far back, don't engage with the literature, then you have no foundational understanding on the topic.
I know, but like you
To
haven't
even
even read the MMX literature.
That's right.
Yeah, because it doesn't personally interest me because I've read this other stuff, right?
You shouldn't draw a conclusion about that then, because you're saying that this is good evidence. Go read it, right? You're putting your name behind it without knowing if it's good or not, right? You're just
No,
assuming it.
I didn't say that. I just said it's good. I said it's good that whoever said that he read it has read it, but don't stop there. Keep reading. Like obviously, if I'm gonna carry on like having discussions on this or bring up Mikkel Somali specifically, I need to go and read that. But it doesn't
Right.
tend to be something that I care that much about
But
because
you did bring
I
it
have
up in this discussion. You brought it up, and you haven't read it. You're the one that brought that up,
yeah, but
right?
I know enough. I know enough that they didn't prove what people are concluding that they proved, right?
This
But you
is,
haven't even
I'm
read
going to
it.
quote, I'm going to quote
The
exactly,
assumption.
hold on. I'm going to quote exactly what they said in the paper. The result of the hypothesis of a stationary ether is thus shown to be incorrect.
Right. So what would you then conclude from that?
That they believed that their experiment showed that stationary ether is incorrect.
Right. So the only
Their
thing you can
hypothesis
say
was
for
falsified.
yes,
But
the
they don't
only thing
actually
you
It
can
know
must
if
be
it
say
was.
moving with the
hold on,
earth.
But
hold
really
on.
though, they don't. You're saying they don't know if it was actually incorrect or not, right? Just for the record.
So the
Correct.
only thing you can say
Within a
only,
scientific understanding, yes.
only thing you can say with certainty is that there is no motion.
They
But what
can't say
people
that
then
either.
That's
do
only because that's
right, but no,
only
from
because
what they said, from what
they measure no relative motion. Therefore, the stationary ether must be moving because they measure no motion.
right, yeah, that's a logical conclusion from that.
Well, it's a logical second hypothesis that you could run experiments to show moving ether. But the idea is that, like, if ether is luminiferous, if
No,
light
because it's a
travels through it,
binary. It's a
then
binary.
we can detect. Then we can detect it. If it is the thing that propagates light and it's moving, we can detect. We should be able to detect that.
No, that's a true dichotomy. You either have motion or you don't. The fact that they've proved, assuming you go and verify it for yourself, because that's how you're supposed to do it with the scientific method, right? Assuming you've done that,
Who's
you-
they in this?
the example that you just read the conclusion from, right? Assuming you've gone and confirmed that for yourself, what you've done is you prove one side of the dichotomy as not the case. So the only option you have is the other side. So if you
No,
proved
there's
no
three.
motion, no, if you prove no motion, then you have motion.
No, there's three options.
What's the third option? Where you
There
where
is
you
no
pulling this
ether.
from?
There is no ether.
No, but that's already been established. Otherwise, it wouldn't be within the experiment.
No, it hasn't.
No, because that's not that's one of the variables that would have been accounted for.
It's not. It's not a variable. That's
Okay.
the ether.
Why?
The
Okay.
ether is the
So let's.
thing that they're testing. They're testing a
What is
stationary
your?
ether. They made
What is?
a hypothesis based on there being a stationary ether.
Yeah, the stationary thing being the key point. So just because they have nullified the stationary doesn't mean that there's therefore no ether. That conclusion does not follow.
No,
Has there been a
I can agree with
test?
that.
There is
I can agree
either.
with that. You could say there's swirly twirly ether, but the thing is, then in modern times, like talking to you guys, the ether is like moved from a thing that propagates light to now the thing that moves pendulums. It like pushes atoms around. It's a force in and of itself. And I don't think any of that's been actually demonstrated scientifically. These are just, it's kind of like whatever it needs to be. People make claims that that's what it is.
But do you think it's appropriate for a grown man to say swirly twirly? Also, has there ever been an experiment for the moving ether?
Yeah, I mean, it
Yeah,
wouldn't.
with
Okay, it
Bob.
wouldn't be an experiment, but you would argue, like I said earlier, that that's what Bob was actually showing.
Well, first you have to hypothesize how the ether would move. And it's part of why I say swirly twirly, because things like the pendulum, it's not just about like stars rotating and the ether rotating like in a big circle above it, because the measurements that are recorded, like from Bob's gyro, they're rotational at a point on Earth. It's like, that's why I say swirly twirly, because it's got to be like pushing Bob's gyro in a circle at that one location. If you put another gyro at another location, it's going to push that one in a circle. You know what I mean? It's not
Are
like
you
just a
serious?
Yeah,
big.
I don't even think it pushed it in circles. I mean, the moment that he turned it on, it measured 15 degrees. It wasn't like it took time for light to drive on it. He just turned it on
Well,
it, and now there's like
It's like
citations
a
that
pendulum.
people
As soon as you
who
swing
do it
that thing,
properly. But he
So
didn't
you're
even swing it. He
you're
just turned it. It's like he went. It would be like going and walking to the pendulum, and then as soon as you built it, it just started swinging. Right. That's
you
so. I
but
don't see. I don't see this
Well,
as
of
like
course it's.
a
Thank you.
validation of this
are you
hypothesis. He just turned on a machine and it read it immediately.
Yeah, because it's not accelerating. In that sense, it's already going 15 degrees. So of course it would show that immediately. What are you talking about? No tanks.
you are
So light
seriously
is
proposing the
instantaneous.
ether?
No.
So you're
Virtually,
seriously
yes.
proposing? You guys hear me? Are you seriously proposing the ether matches everything precisely to show that it's flat and not?
I don't know. So when people turn on their
Oh, so you're going to ignore me?
ring laser
Okay.
gyros, they don't measure this thing that he measured. Why don't they measure it? Why
Can
doesn't
you
everybody measure
perceive
it?
the speed of light? Like, can you perceive that when you
We're
turn
gonna
a lamp
ignore the
on?
whole fact.
We
We're
are
gonna
going to
ignore the
ignore
whole
you now.
fact that this
Get
magic eighth of yours
that's
just
you. That's
happens
what
to
you
show
are.
it
You're the guy we
every
ignore.
place. That's okay. Go ahead and talk over me for a while. You're not going to answer my question anyway. I can see that.
Go ahead, NASA. I was just
So,
responding to what
are
you
you
said.
seriously proposing that this magic aether of yours, no matter where you are on Earth, no matter what you're using, this substance will show you that the Earth is flat, no matter what?
Yeah, this is why you were ignored. But
That's
like ICSpin, like why do
got
you? I
nothing
mean,
to do with what
So
we're
you're going to
talking
ignore,
about.
completely
I
ignore that.
I
You're just
don't
going to
even
blow it
grant
off.
this idea. I don't even grant this idea of the ether. So this guy claimed to have measured a 15 degree per hour drift of what you guys would say the Earth
Earth,
moving in relation to what? I'm not sure. So I
I
don't
was
even see
Earth.
this
responding to you saying that it
as a
didn't take any
reasonable
time at all.
idea.
You were putting
But
forth
we're
the
just going to ignore
assertion
the
that
fact
it
that.
should.
So,
Well,
so someone just tell me you're going to ignore the fact that this magic
Yeah,
aether,
NASA,
no
dude,
matter
you're
where you
fucking
are on Earth,
retarded,
show.
bro.
No, I'm not fucking retarded. This whole idea is fucking retarded. That this magic aether will just magically show wherever you are on Earth, no matter what you're using, a pendulum or a gyroscope or looking at the horizon or something, this magic aether just somehow shows the Earth to be flat perfectly, no matter where you are.
Can we circle back to that? Just real quick, I want to understand what he mean. Like, what would your expectation be? No tanks. For instance, you turn on a ring laser gyro. Like,
I'm gonna ignore what you're saying.
granting that the machine like needs to like be primed or like be warmed up or whatever. But like when you turn that on, what do you expect? Do you expect it to gradually build up to 15?
I expect it to measure nothing unless it's measuring something in relation to something. So, like, what is the initial hypothesis then that you guys say that the ring laser gyro should measure 15 degrees per hour of light
That's what our model
traveling
would
in
dictate.
relation
Yeah.
No
in
tanks is
relation
like
to
the
what?
Harry Houdini of debates. That was
In
really
In
relation to
relation,
what?
Yeah.
the Earth's rotation
All right, so
in
the
relation
light
to
is
its
taking.
axis, right?
Right, so the light is that's going in a square or circle or whatever. You would hypothesize would be measurable, perceivably instantaneously, because
Yes.
it's moving faster in one direction, and the light is can't catch up.
It's just deflecting. I mean, it bounces off of a mirror, and there's a lag of one that goes in a particular axis or direction. There's just an interference pattern. It comes a little bit slower and a slightly different orientation, right? Like let's just say 0, 0 would mean there's no motion. But if it comes off at 450 comma 671 on this XY grid, that means that the motion is actually going in that direction, right? Like, and then it would it just depends on what's happening, but
Yeah,
it would
going
give
back
you a
in orbit,
vector.
we can measure that. Yeah, but yeah, as
Yeah.
far as I'm aware, these guys when they turn it on in reality, they have to zero it out, and they get zero until there's actual motion.
I don't know. I can't understand what the concept of
I'm just saying, in
zeroing
reality, like
out
this
something
guy
is.
Bob went out there to prove something, right? But everybody else who uses the same instrument, they don't get his measurement. He was like one of the only ones.
No, that's wrong.
Well, there's
Every
this claim
gyroscope.
that there's the claim that these guys have to zero it. They get this 15, they have to zero it out on their ships or whatever. But I mean, I haven't seen that.
Well, I mean, when planes turn their planes on, they have 3 gyros, right? And I think they take like 30 minutes to all sort of level out to where they're at. But then it shows the rotation of the Earth. There's like 3. I'm pretty sure there's in modern commercial planes. There's like 3 ring laser gyroscopes in each of them.
Yeah, they want to get rid of that. They want to get rid of that. If anything,
I don't know what that
they're not
means.
trying to get the rotation. They're trying to get rid of the rotation. If that's even the claim, right? Whatever that thing is, right? That they're saying, well, we got to get rid of that so we can tell if we're going up, down, left, or right. We have to get rid of that. So they don't want to. They don't fly around with 15 degrees going on all the time. They fly with 0.
I mean, technically, they're moving in a direction against that rotation, so it's never 0. It's always 15, or you're flying in
What about
some sort of.
you're saying that when they're going with the rotation, then it's going to tell them, hey, you gotta also nose up. That's not happening in reality.
Well, do you know planes
No, I
that
think their
fly on
computer's
the
correct
equator
for
that go
this.
1,040 miles per hour? I've never heard of it. That'd be a fast as fuck plane. But as far as I understand,
You go half that.
like a commercial plane, right, is never going to be able to keep up. When I flew to Australia, I think it was on the way there. This was when I was a younger person, but I remember it being light for an extraordinarily long period of time. It was a 16-hour flight in both directions, but it was
I've seen the video.
yeah.
You can keep up with the sun depending on what like latitude you're going around. You can keep up with it the whole time because it's at an angle.
Yeah, I don't know where we're taking this conversation, but I was trying to understand what you thought, what you would expect a ring. If I turn on a ring laser and it shows 7 and then 8 and then 9, I've got major questions, right? Like it's going to show 15.
Like that's what so you're imagining they're going to measure, right? So the speed of light 187,000 miles per second, and then they're going to factor in 15 degrees, 1,000 miles, and they're going to get a reading and say if that reading exists, that must be the rotation of the Earth. I mean, how large of a reading are you expecting? And what why would this guy Bob be the only guy who practically gets it on his machine? Because he also gives the statement that when he reset he said he had everything up to just like read the slightest bit of noise. He also states that once he turned it down to like standard levels, he didn't get 15 degrees.
All right, someone else can step in.
Okay, so you would expect it, right? You would expect that if I'm going 187,000 miles per second, that if I speed that up by just 1,000 miles per hour, that should be that we can guarantee that that's what we're reading. That's just 1,000 miles per hour. That would be like 87,000 whatever 0.2 speed of light. You think we measure that, and we have to account for that?
Yeah, sorry, I've got to be quiet for a few minutes. So
yeah, I understand. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know any of the Globe guys who think that like I have a bunch of lumber on the truck. We're hauling away trees over here, and we have to account for the dust particle that fell on the tree because we're weighing it in. We have to get the correct weight when we weigh in our lumber. If you think we have to account for the dust particle, and Bob proved it, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't expect to have to account for that. Yeah, I don't even think. I mean, I think it's yeah, I don't think there's anything there. These guys who do it,
I
these
think
guys who have done it in the profession, like Mickelson, Gail Pearson, they get once they get rid of the temperature, they not get rid of it, but they try to equalize the temperature and all the other actual factors. They don't get it. They don't get 15 degrees an hour, whatever that would be 187,000.000.01 measure difference.
I mean, the question is, do we have? So there's a hypothesis that the Earth rotates at 15 degrees per hour, and then we can ask what device is sensitive enough to be able to measure that accurately. It's like in your tree example, it'd be like saying it's really important that we find this piece of dust, so let's find a scale that's sensitive enough to detect one piece of dust, right? You're going like backwards a little bit with it. And so Bob, and remember, flat earthers are the ones that chose this specifically because this was a device that was expensive and that had the sensitivity to be able to measure that.
Well, yeah,
so
he liked
what
it.
Bob did to not get the
liked,
result is he just turned the sensitivity down to where it like wouldn't pick it up. It's like,
and then he went up, and then later he went up and down and got a different measurement, like a not equal. He went, vertically changed, and it changed.
Yeah, my understanding with that is that my understanding with that's that the documentation for the device he had said specifically that that one does not work the same at high altitudes.
Yep.
So he's sort of going against the proper way to use it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the math works out in a way where it's like this is exactly the phase shift that we should expect if there's a movement in this. 15 degrees is a tough thing because they're using light, which doesn't that measures like a speed, like a linear speed.
Yeah, I mean, it measures like because you have 3 axes, it's going to measure linear, rotational, all that. So he had it fixed so to not pick up any linear speed, but it definitely picked up a rotational vector.
Yeah,
without having the data, I would assume that wherever he turned the machine on and wherever he wound up, however many degrees away that is from start, that would be added to like the time, right? Like, if I'm just assuming that's sort of a result, but like you said, there was an altitude increase. There's many things that could have played a part.
And you could turn it.
I'm
assuming that he would like run it for a while and then rotate it, like orient the device on its side, because that's the other part of it. He said, well, it always just has an error in that direction. When you turn it on its side, it's going to have the 15 degrees going in the opposite axis. You could rotate it again, the 15 degrees will go in the opposite axis again. Right. And this is confirmed by just like pendulums. You can make a physical device that you swing that will do the exact same thing. You can remove all the, factors that you think might make that happen, and it still happens consistently.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just not a huge ether guy. I'm not at all a globe guy. But yeah, there would be, there'd be just in my. It's one of those things where it's very strange, where you have the only guy to really ever show this to be the case is a flat Earth guy. He's doing it for the first time, doesn't know what he's doing. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. The last guy melted the laser, didn't know what he was doing. I mean, maybe this is like a flat earther trend here, but now we trust these guys. We're like, these are the guy who melted the laser and the other one who dropped the gyro off the mountaintop. These are the ones that have the proof.
It's the genetic fallacy, though. Like, they have data. It doesn't matter who they are, what you think their motivation was.
I remember there was a guy in here that was
he
was really like he was
ability,
bad talking Bob, but he was gonna make a physical gyroscope. He didn't trust the ring laser, so he was gonna do that to prove Bob wrong. And he was said he was almost done with it, and then we never heard from him again.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We could do another test, but.
My question for you, Tanks, was a minute ago when I was talking about does this confirm Earth's model? I think you were strongly against that, right?
Yeah, I would. I would say, you have the light. You're imagining that the light's moving off in like a tangent into outer space, and that Earth
this
is
the thing.
rotating. So therefore, it's taking longer for the light to get back.
All I'm saying is, like, you don't have to believe the model, right? Like, just from an internal critique, I'm saying I'm saying from a point of view of Earth, right? And say Earth is a sphere for the sake of example. If the readings of 15 degrees per hour were confirmed, right? Whether or not it was confirmed because of the ether moving is irrelevant, or because it was the Earth, it's completely irrelevant. But the point is we got this piece of data, and if we can take the assumption that this data was real data, not fake, somehow it wound up there and it was real, it was measured somehow, and we say, well, it's because of this reason. Does that reason comport with our model, with what we say it should show, or not? And if not, then why? Okay, so it does.
No,
okay, good. That's it. I thought you said no, so that was what I was going to ask. Thank you.
No, that would be that's yeah. I mean, that's like that's how people. I wouldn't say it's not an insult, not like insultingly. They get circular reasoning or affirming the consequence, but that's how you get proof. That's what evidence is. If it's self-contained and circular, then it's evidence. You want it to be circular.
Well, it's not. I mean, I think you're saying circular in the sense of like an argument, right? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying you want it to. You want A plus B equals C, and you want to be able to run it in a circle and to show that it runs both ways.
All I'm saying is all I'm saying is the 15 degrees per hour makes sense because we're on a sphere, and we know that 24 hours takes place. And if you multiply 24 by 15, you get 360, which is the complete circuit of a circle.
Yeah. There's this. Yeah.
So that's all I was saying. Okay. I don't really have much else. I do.
Yeah, but
often
I
ask
just
this.
don't agree with I don't even agree with the results or the setup or any of it. Yeah, I don't really get into any of it.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying the data, as the data is presented, this is what we say about our model. Really, what if someone said no? My conclusion, my bias would tell me either A, that person is lying, or B, that person doesn't understand the model. There's not a third option.
Yeah,
Like from my
the
perspective.
thing that I'm pointing out is it's such a 15 degrees, right? I mean, that's it sounds like a big number, but it's 1,000 miles or per hour in one direction of 187,000 miles per second of a speed. And then you got these three different axes to get the phase interference. That thing is so small that you could pretty much chalk it up to any number. All right? Like 15 degrees is such a small number that any.
Did you guys get booted too?
Yeah.